Hey guys, welcome back. Doing another live stream here, doing it a little bit early since the AJ show's been canceled for today. So I love how it's just coming from my computer. Welcome back, everyone. Glad you could make it. Now I've had a lot of requests about, can we do some Ram centric content? And I thought about it. I'm like, I'm obviously trying to, allow other people because I'm a huge NFL fan in general, sports fan, MCU, DC, Star Wars, whatever. This is like my channel. I talk about whatever I want, but I felt like talking about the Rams today. It's a Saturday. There's not a ton going on, so I figured I'd do an Ask Me Anything, where you guys can literally ask me anything. Now I want to make this very clear. If you aren't a Rams fan, don't feel as though you can't ask a question. It's just going to be mainly focused on the Rams today. So if you have a question, of course I'll answer it, but let's try to stick to a minimum of all the other questions, and let's try to hit on the Rams. Um, and yeah, let's just have some fun with it. Hope everyone's having a great Saturday. But of course, before we get into that, this episode, this live stream, Downtown Rams and the Jake Ellenbogen YouTube channel are sponsored by our friends over at Manscaped. You can go to manscaped.com today and type in promo code DTR or JKB and get 20% off and free shipping. All right, so I have nothing. Nothing. I don't have any intro or anything I normally have. The only thing that I have is the fact that, there's, a report out there that the Rams have interest in Adoree Jackson. I'll open up with that, and I'd like to see Austin Blythe resign, but that's it. So the floor is yours. I'm going to, answer all your questions. I see some on here on Twitter. I see people on YouTube. Not seeing any on Facebook here, but that might be because it's taking forever to load. So I'm gonna try and get to everyone's questions. What's up, guys? How we doing? Renee, what's up? Giovanni, Preston, how we doing? Araceli, Samuel, what's up, Junkyard Dog? How we doing? Eric, how we doing? All right, so I'm gonna hit up Facebook right now real quick. Load that all up. That way I can see all of the chats at once. For whatever reason, Streamlabs isn't showing all the chat. Okay, I'm starting to see Facebook now, so I think we might be good there. Cool. So, let's see here. Okay. Perfect. So we have, all right, first question. I can't wait for some Austin Blythe news already. I hope he stays. Same here. Absolutely can't wait. I really want Austin Blythe to come back. I think he adds stability at the center position. Look, he's not a long-term guy. I think, if the Rams sign him, it's going to be a 1 to 2 year deal. And I think it comes with the factor that they are going to draft an interior offensive lineman, whether that be a Quinn Miners or, I doubt Creed Humphrey will be there, but maybe Josh Myers, somebody along those lines. Kendrick Green would make a lot of sense. But I think it comes with, that added, baggage where if a center is signed, if it's a stopgap center like Blythe, they are going to draft. They should be drafting anyway, but, that's what I think there. Now over on Twitter, I have at ML _2011. Let me ask you this one time. What master do you serve? I don't know what that really means. I serve myself, so I guess, and I serve you guys clearly. So I don't know what that is. But thank you for joining. At M30 Jimmy asks, Matthew looks like he's happy to be in LA. You think he'll fit in with the city? I do. I think Matthew Stafford is a very easygoing guy, and he kind of reminds me a little bit in Goff, the way he carries himself, because Goff is kind of easygoing. Yes, he's got kind of that surfer California vibe, but I don't really feel I don't feel as though, he's going to have a hard time adapting to that city at all. Um, at Dukes 428 asks, how much is Kansas losing by today? They're not. They're going to win. There's nothing else to say there. All right, so now we move over to YouTube here. Those were the Twitter, and I'll be going back and forth, just trying to make sure I hit on everyone's questions, comments, concerns, what have you. Okay, Rams and Geno Atkins asked CJ Lofton. Now I actually really like the fit, but what I'll say is this: Geno Atkins is a talent. It makes total sense why the Rams would be interested, except for the fact that they just traded Michael Brockers. And they traded Michael Brockers away mainly because of the cap. They did have plans for him moving into 2021. He was a guy that they expected to keep, and they couldn't work out a restructure. They didn't want to bring him back on that cap money. So, I don't look at it as such they would replace him with a Geno Atkins, but then again, you could argue maybe they really didn't want to cut him or trade him, but they felt they had to get under the cap, and then maybe now they feel like they can strike while the iron's hot. Who knows? I do think Geno Atkins would be a great fit in LA, but at the same time, you have to feel good about Sebastian Joseph Day's development. You have to feel good about a guy like Greg Gaines in the back. I've mentioned guys like Eric Banks and Michael Hawk and Jonah Williams. I think Eric Henderson just does a phenomenal job as a coach, a young coach. But he's getting more and more responsibility with this Rams coaching staff. So I feel, to me, that they feel good about defensive line. Plus, you have Ashawn Robinson, of course, Aaron Donald that I already mentioned. So I don't necessarily think they'll go after Geno, but I wouldn't mind if they did, because I think he would really add a lot to that defensive line. We get the 88th pick back. What do you think? Maybe linebacker? Yeah, so I could see a combination of, a wide receiver that can stretch the field in the first two picks. So, 57 and 88, I could see wide receiver that could stretch the field. I can see interior offensive lineman to, develop. And I could see a linebacker. I think those are the three that I'm looking at. Maybe a corner. We'll see there. But, if I had to name one guy for each of those positions, Dwayne Eskridge, who I've constantly named for wide receiver, Kendrick Green, the Illinois offensive lineman, the interior offensive lineman, and then linebacker. It's tough, but I think, a guy like Cameron McGrone out of Michigan fits the bill there. Would be a great addition to this Rams defense, in my opinion. Let's see. Hey, Jake, there's two middle linebackers in the draft that are sleepers. That would be perfect for the Rams. Ernest Jones from South Carolina and Grant Stewart from University of Houston. Interesting. I'll check those out. There's a guy that's not getting enough talk in the linebacker group, and I'm a really big fan of out of TCU, Garrett Wallow. I definitely enjoyed watching his film, and he's one of the guys that I'm higher on than the consensus. A guy I'm lower on than the consensus is Fred Warner. Was not a fan of his tape at all. I thought Baron Browning was clearly the better linebacker there by a country mile, and Warner, I really feel, struggles in coverage, so I'm not the biggest fan of him. If he's watching this somehow, I don't dislike him as a person. I just think on film, there's a lot to work with there. I don't think, the draft valuation that people are giving to him is not where I would want the Rams to pick him. So that's what I'll say there. Did you watch the Snyder Cut yet? I absolutely did. I loved it. There will be a video up as soon as I can gather my thoughts and create a video. I'm going to do a video on the Snyder Cut and my thoughts on it. Morning, Renee. How we doing? Over on Facebook, Simone Romero asks, will Rams sign any free agents? I believe they will. I think what they're doing right now, them and the Green Bay Packers are the only teams in football to not sign a free agent outside of their organization during this free agency. And I think that speaks volumes to the fact that they feel there's a lot of value, and they're going to wait until, it makes sense to, kind of dive in. We heard about the interest with Adoree Jackson. I think less about the interest in Adoree Jackson, more that, okay, they're interested in bringing in another cornerback. And I always, I've said this the last few streams, the Rams are going to turn their attention to Brian Poole. I'm telling you right now, I think he makes the most sense. played with Raheem Morris, active defensive coordinator, 2016 through 2018. This is somebody that finished sixth in passer rating given up when targeted. He's gotten better each year. He's 28 years old, can play the slot corner. That is where I expect him. I think he's better than, rolling with David Long. And ultimately, I won't be surprised if that's the route they decide to go. Now, with the other free agents, I don't really know. I don't think there's a linebacker out there that I'm really interested in. There's just not really much at this point. There's not really a stopgap center. You could argue Ben Garland from the San Francisco 49ers played pretty well in relief at center. But aside from that, I would just go with Blythe and then sign either Brian Poole, or if you can get Adoree Jackson, I'm not opposed to that. I know there's talk about Cordarrelle Patterson as well, Johnny Hecker making that plea. Cordarrelle Patterson to me would be intriguing, but I'd rather go out and get a guy that has, just another level of game-breaking talent and has a chance to be a superstar, and that's Dwayne Eskridge to me. You go and you get Eskridge, first off, you're getting a Tyreek Hill type of explosive player that I think goes from being a fourth receiver to maybe changing your plans as he continues to develop. I think you could see a guy like that pushing out a Cooper Kupp, whose jersey I'm wearing right now, or a Robert Woods in due time. Not saying this year the Rams aren't trading either of them. We need to stop with that. But I do think that somebody like that could, add a tremendous amount of value. And like I've said before, Dwayne Eskridge's speed is speed that they simply don't have on the roster active right now. So that's something to keep in mind. I know they have a lot of speed. They don't have his level of speed, that 4.2, that quick burst. It's stop and start. It's, just basically 0 to 60, like the rock and roller coaster at Hollywood Studios in Florida. I mean, it's that simple. That's really how I feel about a guy like Eskridge. So that's why I think that they would consider him. If you could, who would you keep, D. Will or Troy Hill, asks Juan Figueroa. Very simply put, I would keep D. Will. I think Darius Williams has turned himself into a very similar mold of Antonio Cromartie. And I also think that, you're looking at Jalen Ramsey in a very similar mold of, Darrelle Revis, with the Jets. So when those two were a tandem, they were dynamic because Darrelle Revis, kept guys on an island and, secluded from, getting a ball thrown their way because no one wanted to throw at Revis. It's kind of that way with Jalen Ramsey. We haven't seen quarterbacks really want to test him. And so because of it, cornerbacks are throwing at Darius Williams just like they threw at Antonio Cromartie, and it's not going well for them. So I would absolutely go with Darius Williams. I really love Troy Hill. I appreciate his time with the Rams. And not only that, I really love that he continued to develop over time. This is a guy that I gave up on at one point or another. I was upset that the Rams held him over Kevin Peterson. Felt like Kevin Peterson had a better preseason and should have been brought back. But albeit, Troy Hill has done a phenomenal job of development, and he's 30 and he's going to get a 4-year deal. So I'm really happy for the guy. He's earned it. He's played on all sorts of 1- and 2-year deals. So it's really cool to see him going out to Cleveland with John Johnson and getting an opportunity. But I would definitely go with Darius Williams. Morning, Andres. How we doing? What's good, Kellen? D. Will for sure. Totally agree with you. Good morning, Jake from Nevada. Good morning, Kurt from New York. Renee, let's see. Rams interest in Adoree says they're not too interested in Blythe, who's obviously on the back burner, or the Rams have other plans at center. Corbett. Edwards at right guard maybe sees off the board now. I don't know about that. I think he's probably the most likely they bring back at this point. I know people have asked me, what about Josh Reynolds? He'll be cheap. I just think they're ready to move on from Josh Reynolds, to be honest with you. It backfired. I remember when he got drafted, he said, you're going to give me a big contract. Welp. I think Corbett could work at center. But I think that they'll bring Blythe back, at least on a 1-year or 2-year deal. Keep this in mind. Blythe wanted to get the opportunity to test free agency. He didn't get to do it last year, signed with the Rams pretty quickly on a 1-year deal. This year, he knows he's had a solid year. He wants to see what the market's like. And it's not even about leaving the Rams. It's just what you do. When you get better, you want more pay. He's just testing to see what's out there. I definitely don't blame him. But with Adoree Jackson, I read more into it is that they're open to adding a corner and not just Adoree Jackson, just like a corner in general. Adoree would be interesting because he would kill two birds with one stone, essentially. You get a corner that could play the boundary, you could play inside. One of the top boundary corners, according to PFF, when targeted, but he wasn't always playing on the boundary. When he got an opportunity, he thrived. So, being interchangeable, having guys like Jalen Ramsey and Darius Williams that can play the slot corner position as well as Adoree. You can kind of move all three all over the place. But then Adoree and what he does as a returner is so valuable to me that, I think he'd be a huge addition for sure. Brian Poole is more of like you're getting a corner and that's how he is. But if you get Adoree Jackson, he helps in the special teams department as well. And so does Cordarrelle Patterson, can help you in the running game, the receiving game, and the kick returning game. So that's why they would have interest in those two guys. Let's see. Any concerns about the Rams letting people walk or not being aggressive in free agency? Not really. We kind of expected this when you pay guys like Todd Gurley and Brandon Cooks and Jared Goff, and those deals don't work the way you want them to. You're either gonna have to bite the bullet, or and just keep them, or you're gonna have to bite the bullet and cut them. And so one way or another, you're biting the bullet. And they decided to cut them. Or trade them. And now they're gonna have to pay for it. Cooks is off the books, but they have about over 30 million in dead cap money this year, but that all goes away next year unless they make another move. So keep that in mind. It's not all bleak, and plus the Rams are doing a lot with little. So I'm not too worried about it. Makes a lot of sense. They weren't able to keep everyone. Would have liked to see them tag and trade John Johnson, but apparently that wasn't in the cards. So they didn't do that. Let's see. Hudson would have been nice. Yeah, Hudson would have been a lot nicer than have him go to the Arizona Cardinals. But at the same time, Hudson's older. I didn't want to trade a second or a third rounder. I'll take the second or third rounder over having Rodney Hudson for a year or two. So I didn't mind them holding on to that. I just got here. Maybe you answer. What's up, Opacity? How we doing? Jake, you were supposed to say, what am I supposed to say? Jesus. I can't wait to see the offense open up a bit. I think it's definitely going to do that. When you have a guy like Matthew Stafford that can work off script, and then basically change the play at the line without need of Sean McVay, and just what he can do arm talent wise, how he's clutch. I think he has the most fourth quarter comebacks since I think it's 2011 for any quarterback in the league. So this is somebody that won't have to come back as much, you would think, because the Rams are a better football team than what he's used to dealing with. And so that's something to be very excited for, to see Matthew Stafford with the lead. And on top of that, I said this in the video when I broke down Stafford, when you have a guy like Matthew Stafford that was in that position in Detroit, he had a lot of those interceptions that he was pressing. He was trying to do anything that he could to win a game. If he's not in those situations, he's not going to be pressing as much. I bet you see a lot fewer interceptions. The stats are way better with Sean McVay and the Rams. This is a winning culture. This is a winning organization, a winning mentality, and Stafford looks ready to be the face of this football team as at quarterback. What's happening in LA Rams? How we doing, bro? My March Madness bracket is toast. Yeah, Kellen, I couldn't be any less interested in March Madness. I have a bracket and I'm following, but I haven't really watched any of the games. I'm just going to watch Kansas, Eastern Washington. Hopefully I get more into it. But this year's been hard. And it was also hard being a Kansas fan. I felt like, they were the best team last year. And then with COVID, how they didn't even get a chance to compete in March Madness. No one did. It just really rubbed me the wrong way. So it's been kind of hard getting back into it this year. Plus, I've been so busy. Let's see. Do you think we will do more free agency moves? Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. I do think the Rams have another a move or two. I don't think they're going to get a ton, but I keep saying go back to when the Rams got Nickel Roby-Coleman and go back when the Rams got Clay Matthews. That was after the fact. They didn't count against the compensatory pick formula, and on top of it, they were able to get him for cheap. Nickel Roby-Coleman was nearly veteran minimum, and then they ended up getting a 4-year deal out of him. So, I mean, that's the best thing to do when you don't have a ton of cap. You want to wait and bargain bin shop, and I think that's worked out for the Rams in the past, and that's what they'll continue to do when put in this position. Let's see. Do you think there'll be a significant drop off in our defense with Morris instead of Staley? Kyle, I don't necessarily think that will be the case. I think if there's a drop off, it doesn't have to really do about defensive coordinator. It has more to do with the fact that there's going to be more turnover on the defense. For the most part, they're bringing everyone back, but they're going to lose John Johnson. I think people are going to forget how important he was to this defense and be quickly reminded, because it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve there. On top of that, when you get rid of a guy like Michael Brockers, I do think that has unintended consequences that you might see down the road, and that's something that I definitely consider moving forward and keep in mind moving forward, because he is a true leader of that defensive line, and obviously Aaron Donald can do it, but Michael Brockers is different as a leader, and I forget what Dan Campbell said, but basically he compared him. He said there's only a few players in this league that can hold Thor's hammer, and he's one of them. I agree. I know exactly what he meant, and I definitely agree. Michael Brockers is going to be a loss, maybe bigger loss than many people are giving it credit for. Let's see here. What do you think of the Jared Cook? I don't like Jared Cook. I don't want Jared Cook on my football team, and I believe he signed with the Chargers anyway, so it doesn't matter. Um, let's see. What master do you serve? You call yourself a Marvel fan. It's a Doctor Strange quote from Infinity War, I believe. Oh, well, I wasn't even paying attention. I mean, I'm just answering questions. If I get references, then I'll get them. But if not, I'll answer as if I don't get them. I don't know. I normally will, but, something like that. I guess it was so early on and I hadn't mentioned anything like that, so it kind of threw me off. Um, let's see here. On Twitter, AP_throne, the plans for Terrell Lewis. Is he starting over Hollins next season? I don't know the plans for sure, but I would definitely start Hollins over Lewis. Lewis, I have a problem with his injury history. I always have. But last year didn't look any better, didn't give me any hope. Justin Hollins, I thought, played really well when they needed him. And I felt like they, unnecessarily had this rotation when they probably should have just started him over a guy like Samson Ebukam, Okoronkwo, and Terrell Lewis anyway. So I'm a big fan of Justin Hollins. I still would, go after a guy like Jadeveon Clowney if you can get him for cheap. But Hollins is definitely somebody that I really like. Let's see. Oh, appreciate you. I just realized that you donated. Thank you so much, Mark. Appreciate you. Everyone go watch the Snyder Cut. I agree. The Snyder Cut is phenomenal. I hated the Justice League, but you know, Zack Snyder has done a phenomenal job. Go back. The Wonder Woman movie is great with him. They do a Wonder Woman movie without him. It has horrible ratings. He did Man of Steel. He's been a part. He pretty much built the whole DCEU, and they kind of spit in his face by not allowing him to finish it. But, they released it, and it's great. And apparently it's not canon, but, who cares, right? No one's going to actually abide by those canon rules. Let's see. We got, I don't know why it just updated, but I'm not a fan. Gino will just be another Lewis. He hasn't been able to stay on the field full time. Well, except for the fact Geno Atkins is one of the best interior defensive linemen in all football, and Terrell Lewis is an unproven rookie that literally can't see the field. So I wouldn't say that. They're high on offensive line Ankrum. How is linebacker Howard doing? So Masanori, Ankrum is somebody that I'm very high on as well. And I think, long term, I think he's got a legit role moving forward. I think he's eventually going to be a starter. So I do see them kind of, they're biding their time with him, and they'll give him an opportunity, I think, to, compete for a starting job in the offseason. But, I don't know if he'll necessarily get it, but I do think, he's more of a long-term guy. As far as Traven Howard is concerned, look, this guy was supposed to be, he was supposed to be the starter anyway. So, but before he got hurt. So it's something to keep in mind. He could definitely have a bigger role moving forward. And, I'm definitely interested in that. I'm interested in seeing that moving forward. We'll see. I mean, Trayvon Howard's coming off a season-ending injury. I don't know how that's going to go. Um, I don't think many people do. So, that's something to keep in mind. Do you think Rams can snag Cordell Patterson? I think that they are interested. I think it's possible, but yeah. I mean, I don't know for sure. Garrett Wallow is another sleeper. I hope for the Rams. Yeah, I like him a lot. Hit the like button. Yes, guys, if you can, if you're on YouTube or Facebook, on Twitter, hit the like, the thumbs up, or share it, or do whatever you can. Let's get some more people in here. Let's keep this conversation rolling. We have 71 viewers across all platforms: Facebook, Twitter, not Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch. So appreciate you. Let's see here. Do the Rams get a wide receiver like Golladay or Antonio Brown? No, I don't think that they're going to go that route. I think if they get a receiver, it'll be Patterson. But I don't expect them to get a receiver. I think they'll draft one. McGrone or Snowden. Wallow would be nice. That's a tough one. I love Snowden. They have different games, but I'm gonna have to go with McGrone. I think he's the better player, but love the versatility of Snowden at 6'7". The alien like wingspan, and allowing him to fly all over the field. He's one of those rare specimens where he's got all this crazy length and actually matches with his speed on tape. So it'll be interesting to see, what happens with him. But McGrone, I think, is the most well-rounded of the bunch. I think he has, he's the better player. Snowden maybe has better upside, but I'd probably go with McGrone. Yeah, I want Dwayne Eskridge too. Rams house, totally agree with you. What are the odds the Rams draft Joseph Asai? Well, if they look edge, then he'll definitely be a guy that they consider. Out of Texas, he's very raw. So I mean, there's that, but I definitely think that they're willing to go raw, and I think they're willing to go after a guy because look, the fact of the matter is that Terrell Lewis has not been healthy, and so while they draft him in the third round, there is definite concerns about his overall health that I don't think they're just going to push, down the wayside. I think that they will have a legitimate discussion internally about moving on from him, and they're not going to trade him or cut him or anything like that, but they might not want to count on him to be their starters. My point. Is Richard Sherman and Kyle Fuller still free agents? They are. Kyle Fuller was just released, so now he's just a free agent. Richard Sherman's still a free agent. I know there's a lot of talk about him going to the Saints, but that has not happened yet. Rams offseason will be better if or when that bum kick returner Simba Webster is cut and released. I'm not going to call him a bum. I actually think he's a solid kick returner, solid punt returner, kick returner. But I know a lot of people hate him. And I will say he's a friend of the show, so I'm not going to say anything bad about him. I think he's solid. I don't think he's the top guy. I don't think he's top notch, but, I think he's solid. I like him more than JoJo Natson, so we'll keep it at that. Preston Murphy, hopefully we do get Poole. Yeah, I'd love Brandon, or who did I just say? Brandon Poole. Let's see. Newly released offensive tackle Isaiah Wilson. Will Rams go after him? Isaiah Wilson. One, I have to say I didn't like his film even coming out of the draft. So when he went in the first round, I was shocked. I had him outside my top 10. Wasn't a big fan of his talent anyway. And number two, he's a head case. Off the field. So I mean, I hope he gets the help he needs because clearly he needs help. And I'm not trying to make fun of him, but I mean, if I'm a Rams locker room, the we not me culture, and you're bringing a guy like that, no, I wouldn't do that. He's already had an opportunity, was traded to the Dolphins. Dolphins tried to work with him, couldn't be worked with. That's a guy that probably won't play in the NFL. Hey Jake, I was looking back at film on Taylor Heineke. He looks great, and he could win against the Bucks if his pass catchers didn't drop the ball. Yeah, Heineke's solid. I mean, I still think that they can upgrade the quarterback position, but I prefer Ryan Fitzpatrick for sure over Heineke. I like Fitzpatrick as a starter towards the end of his career. I'm hoping he has a huge year this year. He's going to have weapons, so really excited to see that dynamic duo of Terry McLaurin and Curtis Samuel. Would you take Eskridge at 57? Yes, I would, and I think that's what the Rams will end up doing. Renee says Eskridge is a wasted pick, in my honest opinion. He isn't going to push out Woods or Cup. He's not going to jump Jeff, so he'll ride the pine for a few years with minimal playing time. Better ways to use pick. I understand not loving the pick, but I think you have to realize he brings a level of talent that they like, a level of explosiveness that they just don't have actively on the roster. So I think with him, it's just different. He's the exception. And um, with people that are comparing him to like Tavon Austin, I have to ask, like, have you watched his film? Because he's nothing like Tavon Austin. So, um, I will just say that. Hey Jake, do you think we should get Cordell Patterson and cut Simba Webster? Um, I don't know if the Rams should go after Cordell Patterson. I understand the fit, but I would rather draft a receiver. This is one of the better receiver drafts in recent memory. I know I keep saying that because the receiver drafts continue to get better. Like, you can get a guy like Nico Collins in the second round, or you can get Dwayne Eskridge maybe in the top 10 of receivers. So I feel like this class is too good to go and settle on a guy like that. Sacred asks, do you like Kevin King? I absolutely do not like Kevin King. Kevin King is the reason the Packers didn't go to the Super Bowl. One of the big reasons. So I'm not a big fan of him. Thoughts on the Rams not having a first round pick until 2036? I think it's 2024, but who's counting? I don't really care, to be honest with you. If they want to trade their first rounder every year, I trust what this front office is doing. I think they found a get out of jail free card where they can trade a first rounder, get a established veteran, and that's how I see that. I love yawning, man. I don't at all, actually. I'm being sarcastic. Let's see. Since we are below cap, can we sign players and go over cap? You can, because the cap, now you've met the top 51 criteria. So now you can go over the cap, but you have to be below the cap to start the season. And that's the total cap. So top 51 on March 17th, you had to be under the cap for the top 51. So the top 51 players on your roster, on the salary books, the top 51 the highest paid, those guys actually counted towards your cap, and that was it. And this is to allow a 90-man roster to occur. But once your roster's finalized, right before the season starts, excuse me, right before the season starts, you have to get that finalized to under the total cap instead of the top 51. So yes, they can go over, but they have to come back to it and figure that out. What do you think we do with Rap? Marcus Rayon asks on Facebook. I think he's going to have a role. I'm not the biggest fan of Taylor Rapp, especially the fact they picked him over DK Metcalf and then, needed a receiver shortly after. But, I think he's going to have a role. He's a pseudo linebacker in my mind, can play linebacker, can play safety. He's more of a strong safety. So I think he'll play strong safety and maybe, a little bit of that, second linebacker look. Should we get Clowney? Yes, if he's cheap, go and get Clowney. Would love that. I'd move on from Josh Reynolds and let Van Jefferson eat. Yeah, I'm totally moving on with Josh Reynolds. Hey, nice. I woke up and bam, stream great. Yeah, right. I'm sure that surprised a few people, so that's cool. What's planned for Terrell Lewis? Is he starting over Hollins next season? I would start Hollins over him, but we don't know for sure. Speed receiver asks Simone Romero on Facebook. I would go with Dwayne Eskridge. Speed. Will you be getting a Stafford jersey? Yes, I ordered mine already. Ohio State messed up my bracket. So sacred. I actually had Ohio State winning, even though I was really close to picking Oral Roberts. Felt like Oral Roberts was, if there was going to be any sort of 16, 15, 14 seed, they were better than a lot of 14 seeds, and they were absolutely better than all of the 15 and 16 seeds. So they were the team that I came close to picking. I also don't like Ohio State, so not I don't know. I can't say I disliked. They're just not my favorite. So I wasn't surprised. Was not surprised. I love how he knows Kershaw too. Give him a winning year. Staff's gonna be ingrained in LA sports culture more than Goff was, in my opinion. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, just give him a Super Bowl and then he's definitely going to. I think the Chargers blew it big time instead of Cook. Should have signed Everett. Both signed 1 year, $6 million, but Cook has much bigger upside if Everett panned out. C's could be signing long term. No, I agree with you, Renee. I mean, I would never sign Jared Cook in my lifetime. I do not. I just didn't like the pickup when they got him. I think he's overrated. I think this is a guy that kind of goes to show you in the NFL. Some guys are super gifted athletes, and they're athletes. And Jared Cook to me has always been somewhat of a disappointment in a sense. He should have been a lot better with his athleticism. But that's just me. Why did I pick SDSU and Purdue to make the Final Four? Kellen, I can't help you there. I don't know why you did that. What's up, Rams House? How we doing? The new uniforms and helmets suck. Let's go back to the classic uniforms and thinking the horns on the helmet. Well, I'm actively, wearing the new jersey, so I would disagree. I don't think they suck. I think, I disagree. I don't think they suck. I think the horns are fine. At first, I didn't really like the partition, if I'm being honest, but I've gotten used to it, and I'm excited for the new uniform, set that they're going to announce this year. So we'll see. I don't know when that's going to be, but I'm looking forward to it. The Rams defense will always be good if Donald is on the field. It's true. Aaron Donald really creates havoc and makes everyone around him better. I think this is D. Henderson make or break season. If he doesn't step up, he's gone. I mean, I think he's totally fine. I don't think Xavier Jones will be RB2, but I am a fan of Jones. The only thing I worry about is his health, but that's about it. At tsapia12 on Twitter asks, losing players on the defense is scary. Do you guys have a lot of depth? Yeah. I mean, I think when you look at the Rams, they are, they have a lot of depth. First off, linebackers loaded. I mean, they're not loaded in terms of starters, but they have a lot of depth. You have Micah Kaiser, you have Trayvon Howard, you have Christian Roseboom, you have Troy Reeder, you have Kenny Young. Defensive line, behind the starters that are projected, Aaron Donald, Ashawn Robinson, and Sebastian Joseph Day. They have Greg Gaines. They have Marquise Copeland. They have Eric Banks, Jonah Williams, and Michael Hawk. On the offensive line, you have your top five, which, I mean, kind of varies. It depends on where you are. I think it'll be Whitworth, Noteboom. Then I think they will bring back Blythe, Corbett, and then I think they'll have Havenstein. But after that, I didn't mention Edwards. They're bringing Chandler Brewer back, who was, he opted out due to being a high risk COVID, guy, because the fact that he battled leukemia, so he was high risk and he had to opt out of the season. But he'll be back. And then you have, of course, Tremaine Ankrum, who we were talking about. You still have Demby. You still have Brian Allen. I'm not as high on either of them, but you do have depth there. At tight end is where maybe you could use more depth, but they did go out and bring back Johnny Muntz. Now it's Tyler Higbee, Johnny Munt, and they have 4th round pick. My number one tight end in the 2020 NFL draft, and that was Bryson Hopkins out of Purdue. Then wide receiver, they have some depth there. Obviously, you have, Woods, Kupp, you have Van Jefferson. And then while Reynolds is gone, they still have Simba Webster, who's still there. They have Tristan Jackson and J.J. Koski. You look at running back, you mentioned it, with, you have Darrell Henderson backing up Cam Akers. You have Xavier Jones, and then you have Raymond Calais, who was a 7th round pick out of Louisiana Lafayette. Tampa let go, so the Rams got him. Quarterback, you have plenty of depth because you have Matthew Stafford, you have John Wolford, 2 guys that I think can start in this league. And then behind those guys, you have a developmental piece in Bryce Perkins, a guy that's very fast, dual threat quarterback. But on top of that, you also have Devlin Hodges, a guy that started in the NFL half of the previous season before last season. With the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, they have a lot of depth there. They have a lot of depth at running back, wide receiver, tight end, obviously. They have Blanton, I forgot to mention Kendall Blanton from Mizzou. Offensive line depth, defensive line depth, linebacker, cornerback. They're needing some room there. You have, Jalen Ramsey, of course. You have Darius Williams. You have David Long. I'm saying they should probably go out and get Poole as the nickel corner or an Adoree Jackson type of guy, but they have Dante Dion as well, and then the back end and the secondary at the safety position they still have depth, which is why they were able to let go of John Johnson. It's probably why they did, because you have Jordan Fuller, you have Terrell Burgess, you have Taylor Rapp, and then you have J.R. Reed, and a few others, Tyreek McGee as well as Juju Hughes, and then Jake Gervais. So they have a lot of depth. That's one thing I will say. They can definitely add on, but they have a lot of depth, for that team. So let's see. Since YouTube is being a pain in the arse, let's see where it just totally moved everything down. So I'm literally trying to answer every question, and it's But guys, feel free to interact with me on Twitter and Facebook. I'm trying to answer everyone's questions at once, and I'm having fun doing it, but YouTube's trying to make it more of a pain. Okay. Let's see. All right, enough with the Jared Cook talk, okay? I'm over him. So over Jared Cook. People are going to be calling me the biggest Jared Cook hater. I don't really care. If that guy never plays for the Rams again, I'm okay with it. Let's see. The Rams defense, okay, I saw that. Rams should give up the next 5 first-round picks for Cook. Oh, my God. Stop it. OG Ram fans hate Cook. Couldn't catch anything for the Rams. The thing that pissed me off about Jared Cook, it had nothing to do with the fact he couldn't catch anything. It's the fact that he shoved Austin Davis. Because it's like, bro, you dropped the game-tying touchdown versus Dallas. You dropped that. And then you go on the sideline. I don't care if you're upset. I don't care if you're overwhelmed. You shove your quarterback, bro. Don't do that. So, yeah, after that, I was done. Plus, I was a huge Austin Davis fan, so I was like, he can kick rocks. Let's see. Everyone go Myles Garrett on that like button. Thank you. Terrell Lewis is a wasted draft pick. I don't care what any fellow Rams fans say. Interesting. I don't know if he was wasted. I get the concept. I wasn't as high on him as others, so the value to me wasn't there the way it was for other people. I had him as a 4th rounder, so I mean, they got him around earlier than I would have wanted, but I get it, with the length and everything. The Snyder Cut is so long, it's going to take me 4 weeks just to prepare myself to watch 4 hours straight. Well, Renee, you could have done what I did. I watched 4 hours straight from 11 to 3 and then watched Falcon Winter Soldier because I'm insane. I don't know. But no, it was phenomenal. I highly recommend it. Think Deshaun Jackson will be a cheap deep threat for us. I think he will fit scheme perfectly. My biggest issue with Deshaun Jackson is the guy's never healthy. And my biggest issue with Deshaun Jackson is the fact that this guy has the same issues over and over again with the hamstring. It really makes me wonder how much conditioning this guy does. I don't like questioning people's heart, as far as the game. I don't like questioning people's work ethic, but I mean, Deshaun Jackson constantly is dealing with hamstring issues, and guys that deal with hamstring issues all the time, I just have to assume they're not preparing their body for the NFL. And I know he's been around for years, but he's been having hamstring issues for years. So I wouldn't want Deshaun Jackson personally. Would rather roll with a guy that may have, because here's the thing. A Tristan Jackson on the Rams may not be a sexy option, but I will take Tristan Jackson, who's already on the Rams, over paying Deshaun Jackson a little bit more because of his name, who is likely to actually be on the field as, or rather than Deshaun Jackson, who's not. And the reason I say this is I think people focus so much on receivers and creating separation and all that. Matthew Stafford can complete passes to anybody. I watched him throw to Quintez Cephas. I watched him throw to Hunter Bryant. I watched him throw to TJ Hawkinson, Danny Amendola, Golden Tate, Anquan Bolden. He threw to a myriad different receivers, Marvin Hall. So I don't really think all in all that they would need to go out and get Deshaun Jackson, because I think Tristan Jackson would be fine. I think JJ Koski would be fine. The reason I say Dwayne Eskridge is because I don't think they have a need at receiver the way other people do. I do think if you look at some of the games on film that, look, Robert Woods can get open down the field. He ran a 4.5 40. He's fast enough to stretch the field. The fastest time at the Senior Bowl when I was there was Van Jefferson, and that was in a crop that had 2 4.3 speed wide receivers that were at the Senior Bowl. That same Senior Bowl, you had Devin Duvernay, who ran in the 4.3s, and Denzel Mims, so he ran faster time than they did in pads. So that's something to keep in mind. And Cooper Kupp got a lot faster for whatever reason after the ACL tear. I think guys can, go over the top of the defense. I think Bryson Hopkins is going to be able to do that. I think Higbee can do that. We saw Akers with the wheel route. I think that's going to add, a little bit of a development with this, this offense moving forward. Obviously, you look at, Wolford being able to hit that throw last year. Stafford can hit that throw. Then you have Darrell Henderson. There's a lot of speed, but the point of Eskridge is that I don't think it's a need. I think it's an addition. I think you're adding on to an offense. The name of the game is to score the most points. And, I'm looking at an offense. If they add Eskridge to this team with Stafford, I think they're the best offense in all of football. And I don't think it's relatively close. Because when you look at the Chiefs, I know they were trying to get Juju Smith-Schuster because they finally realized that their weapons are overrated outside of Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Patrick Mahomes is throwing to guys that are okay. I mean, I like Mecole Hardman, but I don't think he's going to turn into a star or anything like that. So, I think the Rams would be the best offense in football if they got Eskridge, added him to this offense, because I think Stafford is already going to make everyone around him better, which would allow a guy like even Simba Webster to have a role. That's why I wouldn't go after Deshaun Jackson. Let's see. I have a feeling the Rams will draft Eskridge considering the way free agency has gone for us. Yeah. I hope so. I think he'd be a great fit. If not Eskridge, there are guys that you can get, if you want to take the top off the defense. You look at Jalen Darden out of North Texas. You look at UCLA's Kendrick Felton, Demetric Felton, sorry. And then, there's some other guys as well. Chatarius Tutu Atwell from Louisville. And then Amir Smith-Marset, guys that I've mentioned many times on the live stream. So, just keep those names in mind. Why didn't the Rams go live with the pressers yesterday? I'm going to try to say this in a way that, I don't come off as, a jerk. But I actually do agree with you in a sense that you have a brand new quarterback, franchise quarterback, in Matthew Stafford coming to the Rams. I was shocked, and I didn't think it was the best PR move for the Rams to not have a live stream, showing the fans their quarterback. Making a media only thing. Yeah, I wasn't a big fan of that. But that's just me. We can, let's see, smack that like button right now. Appreciate you, Shot by Nolan. Do you think we should sign Patterson? I don't think they should, but I think I see the value there more than Deshaun Jackson. You miss Cooper. Yeah, I really liked Pharaoh Cooper, so I hear you there. Great returner. Let's see here. Sorry, Jake, but Simba Webster sucks. I miss Pharaoh Cooper. He was better than Natson Webster. Pharaoh Cooper was awesome. In the dark, Brooks, Fisher years, we had to pay a preem to get people in. Now players want to play with us. We should check in on Fuller. Maybe he'll take a 1-year low money contract for a chance at Super Bowl. I think Kyle Fuller, you can book it, is going to Denver. When he was released, Vic Fangio, his eyes blew up. Like, Vic Fangio knows how to get the best out of Kyle Fuller, and you could argue Kyle Fuller's best season, not argue, it was clear, Kyle Fuller's best season was with Vic Fangio. So Fangio is going to be all over him. The Broncos are going to get Kyle Fuller, I have no doubt. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, but I don't see myself being wrong there. I think they're 100% the favorites to get him and reunite with Vic Fangio. Hey, Paul, how's it going? I'm doing pretty well. Is Taylor Rapp back to starting lineup now Johnson is gone, or Nick Scott is up now? Don't forget about Terrell Burgess there. I don't really know who it is. I mean, personally, if you're asking me who I would who I would start, I would go with, I would have Jordan Fuller at free safety or strong safety, and then have Terrell Burgess at the other safety spot. And then the third safety, I would make Taylor Rapp or Nick Scott. Let's see here. Masanori draft will be interesting. Last year we picked offensive line. Snead, McVay surprised us. Almost every pick was good. Yeah, I definitely think that there could be some surprises there. We'll see. Eric, yeah, Cooper was legit, but cost us playoff game. LA Rams, Jake, do you think the Rams will win the NFC West? Absolutely. I think they're the best team. Paul, Jake, will the Rams sign anybody in free agency? Surprised they can't sign anybody to 1-year contracts. They can, Paul. Keep in mind they're waiting. They're bargain bin hunting. Wait up until next week, and I think that they'll probably have a move or two that's done. I'd rather have a veteran than a first-round pick. Sacred, I agree with you, and I'm a huge draft fan, huge draft Nick, and obsessed with the draft nerd, whatever you want to call it. But I agree with you. I'd rather have a veteran. I'd rather have Jalen Ramsey than 2 first-round picks, to be honest with you. So that's where I'm at. What's up, Holden? How we doing? O-line coach is Walker Little. Ex-coach, do you think we might draft him or foster Sorrell? I think there are definitely possibilities. Hearing some good things about Walker Little from a few people that have messaged and reached out to Downtown Rams to give us some insight on him that are, they know him. So I feel good about Walker Little. 4th or 5th round, yeah. Not early, but I like him. I think it makes sense for sure. One guy I will hit on, though, and I mentioned earlier briefly, Chandler Brewer is somebody I really liked. So he took a year off from COVID. As long as he's able to play this year, I think he can make this roster. I think he offers, obviously some versatility. He can play a tackle or guard, but I really like his athleticism. He moves very well, and I'm excited to see him moving forward. Let's see here. Awesome, YouTube. Way to refresh my comments. Do you think us losing Brad Holmes will hurt us in the draft? No, I don't. I think, it's not a knock on Brad Holmes, but I think, the Rams have so many guys set up for these jobs that I don't think you'll see a huge drop-off. Favorite Rams player of all time? I have a 1A, 1B. It's Marshall Faulk, Kurt Warner. Either one, 1A, 1B. I'd say that. I'll give the edge to Kurt Warner for coming on the Downtown Rams podcast. So I'll say, because I interviewed Kurt Warner, I've met Kurt Warner, I'll give Kurt Warner the edge. Stafford looks good in a Rams jersey. Totally agree with you. Hey, Jake, if we have $6 million left in salary to spend and we sign a free agent like Clowney to a 1-year, $10 million deal, how does that work? So, great question. So what you could do is, if you only have $6 million, you can make Clowney's, cap hit a lot less by, mixing up how it's structured. So you can give him a big, signing bonus or something like that. If you convert to bonus money and the base salary or whatever is like $1 million or $2 million, you can always find a way to do it. Leonard Floyd's base salary this year is going to be his cap hits $5.5 million, but he signed a deal that has $16 million average annual salary. So that's how they do it. You can make things like that work pretty easily. Rams winning Super Bowl this season? I do think so. I think they beat the Chargers. Who would you rather have, Cordell Patterson or Adoree Jackson? I'll take Adoree Jackson every time. 26-year-old cornerback, returner, somebody that can play the boundaries, somebody that can play slot corner. I'm not even going to rule out if he could play safety or not. Like, I think they can move him all over the place. And plus, being a fan of USC, I've watched Adoree for years. I love Adoree Jackson, so I definitely prefer Adoree Jackson over Cordell Patterson. What do you think our record will be this year? Your honest opinion? 14-3. I think the Rams are going to be, or 13-4. I think they're around a 13 to 14 win team. With a 17 game schedule. So around that, I would say. What about picking up Antonio Brown for one season? Wouldn't be against it. I think Antonio Brown, the way he came on at the end of the year, I don't think that's just a Tom Brady thing. I think that if he can play like that, Stafford can get him the ball. He'd be a great deep threat. Thanks, management likes to slow play signings. My number 9 is on the way. Yeah, they definitely do, and that's awesome. You guys are going to have to send me all of your Matthew Stafford jersey pictures. You wearing the jersey, of course. Be sure to @ me on Twitter at JKBoganDTSN. I got to see it. Brendan Mack from Temple, a big 6'5" wide receiver, and Adams from Arkansas State, a big 6'3" wide receiver possible for our Rams. Interesting. Samuel, you bring up these guys I've never heard of before, and I swear maybe 2 or 3 years ago I would have been on that level, but with the sleepers, I feel like with COVID and everything, it's thrown me off where the sleepers I don't find as well as I used to. I don't know why. It feels off to me. Probably because half the teams are playing and half the teams had to opt out of the season. I don't know. Rams house, I hope our new uniforms this year will be all yellow with blue numbers. I'm hoping for all yellow or black, like a black, yellow, and blue, but we'll see. Cook got into it with our quarterback, bad attitude. Agree. Cook should retire, bruh. Black jerseys would be sick. Totally agree with you there. I will not order a Matthew Stafford jersey until he win a game. Helmet horns too thick, make us look wussy. Thicker horns look tougher. Can keep partition, make horns thicker, and on jersey shoulders as well. So I find it really funny how I feel like it's the older generation, and it's not a knock on you guys, but like I've never noticed the horn. Like it never bothered me, and it never once. It will never occur to me like, oh, the horn is too thin. And it's something that every older fan will bring up, like the horn size. And I'm just like, I never noticed that. So I'm not knocking you. I just find it hilarious because I've never really cared. I always thought the horns were cool. Don't get me wrong. I like the Fibonacci, the curl, and they did that in the numbers, which is kind of a little weird. But, the partition has really grown on me. So we'll say that. Brian Poole. Let's see. Rams have depth at linebacker, but none of them are special. That's why they are ranked number 22 among linebackers, according to PFF. Yes, Samuel, but if you were to add a guy like Cameron McGrone, I think that group would get a lot better. You just need to add one guy. I'm totally fine with playing Troy Reeder. I know it's fun to crap on Troy Reeder. A lot of Rams fans on Twitter do that, but Troy Reeder is a good linebacker. He's not great. He's not special. He's never going to be elite, but he's a good linebacker. He does everything you need him to do. He's only gotten better in coverage, and that was his biggest issue. I like him as a tackler. I like him just all in all. So if you were to add a Cameron McGrone next to him, I think that would be huge. Out of these two, who would you want more, Dory Jackson or Clowney? Ooh, that's tough. I'm going to say Clowney because I want to see Clowney and Floyd with Aaron Donald. I want to see Donald have 2 legitimate pass rushers on both sides. I'm of the belief that Clowney, wherever he goes, is going to have a bounce back season. He's had some injury problems, but he's 28 years old and people are acting like he's 35. So if you were to go to the Rams, I mean, this is a guy that could have 15 sack potential if he stays healthy. I have no doubt. What color Stafford jersey did you get? I got the bone white one. Yeah, I got the blue one. But I like the bone a lot. Let's see. Oh, there's YouTube doing it again. Unreal. I'm caught up and all of a sudden it reloads and pushes everything down. Let's see here. Yeah, I'm trying to find it. Okay, we need a speedy receiver. Get Donald and Stafford a championship. Rams house. The boat, the wolf, and the duck. Jake, I want the Rams to win the Super Bowl this year, the first at SoFi Stadium, but the way free agency is going, the Rams this year, they're not making any moves, makes me think differently. Don't put too much stock in free agency. This team doesn't have too many needs. Use free agency to fill in the holes. That way you could draft for value in the draft. And I think that's what the Rams are intending it to do. So they'll add a few guys, but they're not going to go crazy, and they don't have to, in my opinion. Do you think Havenstein gets traded? Now I kind of don't. I feel like they're going to roll with Havenstein, but before I kind of did. Havenstein for Atkins, who says no? It's not possible because Atkins was cut, but I would probably say neither team says no. Best free agent offensive lineman that no one has signed yet that you want the Rams to sign? Austin Blythe. I mean, I is money in an issue here? Like, are we talking about money? Because I mean, no, I'd still say Austin Blythe. I want to keep the offensive line together. Don't do any crazy movements or anything like that. If you keep all 5 guys together, the continuity there is going to just translate over to the next season. So, yeah, I would keep them together. So that's what I will say there. Let's see. What is the money for the Rams have to spend in free agency? They need to fill some holes. They don't have much. I think they have about $6 million in cap space. Maybe. I don't know. The Aaron Donald thing still hasn't been finalized, so we don't know the exact number. Jake, the Lakers won 4 straight. Let's keep on winning. Yeah, absolutely. I still want Andre Drummond. That hasn't changed. I'm excited for your prediction. Rams, Chargers, and LA Super Bowl. They both have home field advantage, and Jared Cook will be in the. Oh my God, you with your Jared Cook stuff. What is wrong with you? Rams be like, what's a first round pick? Never heard of it. Cowboys drafted Jalen Smith coming off serious injury. Didn't know if he'd ever play. Now he's a Pro Bowler. Lewis might be a monster, but has a bad knee. Need to see him play and time to eval. No, that's a great point. Although Lewis was nowhere near the prospect of Jalen Smith. Smith was a special talent, and now Smith is starting to fall off again. So we'll see. I don't know how many offside infractions by Clowney. I never really thought of that. Way too much Jared Cook and Pharaoh Cooper talk in the chat. Agreed. Any news Fuller yet, or did he get picked up? He's gonna get picked up, and I think he's gonna get picked up by the Broncos. How was the new Justice League movie? Phenomenal. I loved Zack Snyder's cut on that. I thought it was great. Everyone's like, 4 hours? There's no way I'm going to watch 4 hours. Okay, but you were telling me to watch 4 hours of Irishman, and Irishman was boring as all hell. So, God, give me this. Also, check out Falcon Winter Soldier. I did just drop a video on it, but make sure you watch episode 1 before you look at my video. Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan, they're going to absolutely kill this. And they were great. Sebastian Stan, I got to say, his dry, sarcastic humor is just right up my alley. And Anthony Mackie always looks like he knows like you've done something wrong, like your deepest, darkest secret. It's just funny, man. Like I love Anthony Mackie. And also, well, I'm not gonna spoil it. So, I don't want to spoil anything. It's a very minor thing, but you just go and watch the TV show. And then come back and go to this channel and then watch my recap and reaction on it. Antonio Brown for 1 year. I mean, I'd do it if it was cheap. Our receivers are good. They will be catching passes. I'm excited. All Valiant points on Deshaun Jackson. Marquez Stevenson from Houston, another wide receiver people are forgetting and sleeping on. Yeah, I like Marquez Stevenson. When De'Aaron King, was there, that was his number 1 target for a reason. So, I'm a fan. I love the way Stafford throws that spiral. Oh, same. I'm just a huge Stafford fan. There's a tweet where I was talking with my friends on Twitter, and it was like 5 years ago, and they were talking about Tannehill playing for the Rams. I'm like, God, I hope not. I just want Matthew Stafford. So there you go. I love the way, let's see, Rams fine speed wise at wide receiver, need big body, physical jump ball, red zone type guy. Someone that can also play downfield. Snead said as much. Look for a team to draft similar type. I think he was talking about Bryson Hopkins though, and I think Jordan Rodriguez actually said that she took it as they were talking about Bryson Hopkins. So, yeah, I mean, I think you're talking about Bryson Hopkins, and look, Hopkins has a chance to be a stud, and in a league that needs tight end talent with a burning passion, he's gonna be well received when he finally breaks out. Jake, I saw a picture of Stafford at SoFi Stadium. He looked excited to play there. Yeah, I saw that as well. Can't imagine why he would be excited. I mean, it's only like the best stadium in the world. So, let's see. No Sloman though. Oh my God, that name. I just think to make a Super Bowl run, we need another proven wide receiver. I like Van Jefferson, but he can't stretch the field. Djax is a proven wide receiver. He was Eagles' best receiver last year. No, he wasn't. Not at all. And look, I mean, I respect your opinion, man, but I'm just gonna tell you this right now. Deshaun Jackson is a big name at this point. Deshaun Jackson offers nothing besides maybe one touchdown a season because he's always on the bench. For those of you that are wondering why I'm so against Deshaun Jackson, I know he ran a 4.35 40. But look, Deshaun Jackson is now 35 years old. Deshaun Jackson last year had 236 yards. He played 5 games. The year before that, he played 3 games. The year before that, he played 12, 14, 15, 9, 15, 16, 11, 15, 14, 15, 16. So my point is that at one point or another, he actually was reliable, but he's always had issues. He's always played with hamstring issues and all of that. But he played 9 games in 2015. Then he went to 15, 14 with Tampa Bay, 12 with Tampa Bay. The last 2 years, it's been 3 and 5. That tells me at age 33 and 34, he's breaking down. 2019, he has 159 yards receiving, 17.7 yards per reception, 2 touchdowns. So clearly, this guy's just stretching the field. Like he's just going down the field, and he catches 2 touchdown passes in 3 games. Then you look at 2010. He has 5 games played, 236 yards. Receiving 16.9, a touchdown. Again, just stretching the field. He has a 53-yard catch in 2019, 81-yard catch in 2020. I get that. But I don't want a guy to be leased for 1 year to go down the field and catch a touchdown pass. I don't want to sign a guy like that. I don't want to take any reps away from a Van Jefferson for a guy that's going to barely play. So I'm not the biggest fan of this guy at all. I do have a problem with his injury concerns over the last 2 years, and I know he can stretch the field, but I mean, for the most part, he's relatively overrated. And you can tell because people think he was the best receiver last year. The best receiver last year is someone that's not given enough credit because he kind of fell off because of the lack of quarterback play and just all sorts of things going on. That was Travis Fulgham. The next best receiving threat last year was Dallas Goedert. Then it was Greg Ward. Then it was Jalen Reagor. Then it was Richard Rodgers, Zach Ertz, and then Deshaun Jackson. So my point is that Jackson's fallen off a cliff at this point in his career. He's not the same wide receiver, and I would much rather stick with Van Jefferson. But I get what you're saying. I'm just saying he's never healthy, and I wouldn't go that route. Because the best ability is availability, and I don't care if you're on a 4 flat, to be honest with you. If you're never on the field, you're not helping me. Your 4 flat can't help me when you're, on the surgery table. It's that simple. So, yeah, I'll leave it at that. But let's see. You feel bad for Jared Goff? I don't. I think Jared Goff is in a position where he can have kind of a redemption arc, kind of similar to Bucky Barnes with Falcon Winter Soldier. But no, I mean, realistically, Jared Goff could have a redemption arc in Detroit. And I think it's a huge opportunity where, what if he goes to Detroit and he's better than Stafford ever was? It changes everything, does it not? So, I don't know. It's something to keep in mind. I wouldn't rule out Jared Goff just needing a change of scenery, playing well, and end up having kind of the same path as Ryan Tannehill just earlier in his career. Wouldn't be surprised at all. Um, you want the Patriots to trade for Jared Goff? I don't blame you. I mean, I wouldn't roll out Cam Newton. Patriots at this point should be gearing up to go after Trey Lance in the draft, in my opinion, or they should try and get a Deshaun Watson or Russell Wilson. Albeit, I know there's a lot going on with Deshaun Watson right now, so we'll see on that. Your favorite Rams are Warner and Falk, huh? How much give me for a signed Warner jersey and a signed Falk helmet? I don't know. Maybe we'll have to talk. That's a good question. Jake, I think at some point Matthew Stafford will throw out the first pitch at Dodger Stadium this year, and Kershaw will be catcher. Yeah, no, I could see that. I think Tamorrion Terry from FSU is a good big body receiver / speedster. Can target in the third round. Third round's way too high. I think he'll be there in the 6th or 7th. I've seen receivers like Tamorrion Terry. First off, I go back to Auden Tate, who's with the Bengals, very similar to him. I go back to Brandon Coleman from Rutgers, similar to him. So there are guys that have had that big-bodied, speed, size, work. You look at Stephen Hill, a guy that busted in the NFL from Georgia Tech. You've looked at Darren Waller. Waller had to transfer to a tight end, and it took him a little bit in his career to, get to where he wanted to go. It doesn't always work out, but I'm not the biggest fan of Tamorrion Terry. I think there's some issues in his game, and I'm not sold on him. But I get what you're saying. Hopefully with Stafford, that's the death of Cam Akers' Wildcat formation. I wasn't a fan. I liked it, but I hear you. Bone Gray. Nice. Let's see. Jake, could they offer someone a 1-year contract to give the person a bigger one in 2022 if they work out for that player? Yeah. I mean, you absolutely. They've done it before. So, yeah, they could do it. I haven't seen anything, but what would happen with number 9 since John Wolford already has it? So Matthew Stafford has number 9, so John Wolford has changed his number, but we don't know what it is. It hasn't been announced yet. So, we'll see. I can't lie, seeing Stafford walking into SoFi gave me chills. Same here. Jake, how about blue and white Rams jerseys? Not really a fan. I'm over the blue and white. I understand Roman Gabriel. I understand the fearsome foursome. The Rams wore that color because it showed up better on TV. The Rams, to me, represent yellow or gold and royal blue or, dark blue. Like that to me is what the Rams are. I don't really subscribe to the white and blue, but that's just me. I'd rather have an all yellow jersey or even throw in an LA Knights similar to Lakers. You have the black jersey with the yellow and blue highlighted numbers and helmet, whatever you want to call it. I think that would be cool. But that's how I feel on that. I don't know if the Rams are signing Blythe, but I'd like it better. If they could bring him back instead of going out and getting another guy. Guys, I hate yawning. I hate it. Not fun. It's obnoxious too. All right. YouTube did it again, so I just lost all those. Okay, Jake, the horns on the helmets got thinner during the St. Louis era. They should go back to the thicker horns. First LA era, get rid of the silly partition. I just don't really care, I that's how I feel. I just it doesn't really make a huge difference to me with the horn size. Some people they care. I don't. I respect your opinion if you do. I respect your opinion if you don't. But I simply do not care about the horn size. I think it's overrated. Wow. Okay, awesome, Georgetown. Way to go. I totally thought they were going to beat Colorado. I don't know why. That was a stupid upset pick. And Kansas is down 9-0 against Eastern Washington. Yay. Gotta love my Jayhawks. It's early, though, but... Okay, so... Yes, Clowney of 15 sack potential. I've stayed consistent on that. Stafford is going to ball out with the Rams. Totally agree. Jake for late round. Check out Christian Ellis, Idaho, son of Luther Ellis, former Lion. Ali Fayyad, hybrid, Western Michigan. Okay. Jamin Davis, linebacker from Kentucky, another sleeper steal for our Rams. He was a steal, and now I feel like he's on everyone's radar. I was talking about him the other day because, on one of our live streams, because Brett Coleman did a video on him, and I'm a big fan. I watched the video and definitely was interested. But yeah, guys, I think we're gonna wrap this thing up. I just want to head on here for about an hour on a Saturday. I do want to watch Kansas. I do think they'll come back. I know they're down 9-0. I don't think the game's over. So I do want to go do that. And yeah, it's been fun. Appreciate y'all. And we'll be back Monday to do another live stream. Eventually, we're going to have a Downtown Rams podcast episode out again. And the AJ show should resume next week if everything's going well. Just had to, obviously, for the safety of us, we had to cancel. Can't risk COVID and all of that. So that's what we decided to do. But, appreciate you guys. This is Jake Ellenbogen, and I'm signing off until next time. You guys have a great night, great rest of your day, and, we'll talk soon. Also, go Jayhawks. Yeah. Araceli, yeah, go Jayhawks. Let's do it. Let's not lose to Cooper Kupp's Eastern Washington Eagles. Why the hell am I wearing a Cooper Kupp he's from Eastern Washington. Why am I wearing a Cooper Kupp jersey when they're playing Kansas? I'm causing this. I'm causing this whole thing. All right. I'm going to head out. I might be back on later, maybe doing a gaming stream if anyone's interested. Also, before you guys go on YouTube, hit that bell icon and you will get access to my videos. Anytime I drop something, you're going to get an alert on your phone. So be sure to hit the bell icon. Don't miss a thing. All right, guys. Love y'all. Peace.